Hey guys, Lacey Moores. Welcome to the Secret Sauce Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Vinny Monarez, here with us, and we invited Vinny. Well, let's just jump in here, Vinny, because you and I were talking about this for a little while. We've known each other now for little over 8 years.
I think so.
And then probably in really good relationship, probably last 4.5.
Yep.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd say 2019.
2019-ish, yeah. And you have been in real estate for how long?
This is my 10th year.
10th year.
Yep.
And when Vinny and I met, I had been in coaching for several years. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it several times. But Vinny, you got in coaching how many years ago now? Started it.
Started coaching in 2016.
Yep.
If like all coaching in general.
Okay, yes. Explain that then. What do you mean?
Well, so let's see. Started real estate in 2015,
yep.
January 2015. I've been with Keller Williams the whole time, and did a lot of their coaching and trainings through their program. Right. And in May of 2016, I was at one of their business trainings,
okay.
and then they had always talked about their KW Mastery coaching,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I was kind of at a fork of the road at that time, and
yep.
and made the jump into coaching. I almost did again, nothing wrong with it, but I was kind of like, do I buy leads or do I get into coaching?
Sure.
And that's
let me ask you about that. Why did you decide coaching versus buying leads? What made you do that?
I think everything that I was the programs and the trainings that I was going through, everything that they were training us on, yep. It was kind of like the scarcity or abundance mindset type yep. of thing. And, to me, buying leads felt like that was more of out of fear.
Yeah.
And the coaching was more of like, okay, let's bet on myself to really improve, to learn how to build a business. Because at that time, my struggle at that time was I realized I could sell houses, but I had no clue on how to run a business.
Good.
And that's what made me jump into coaching.
So that's what made you look into it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then fast forward. So I was in a coaching platform for several years. Try to get you into in with me, just mainly because I just saw so much of just raw talent that you have. You can talk to anybody and just really make people feel good, comfortable, and trust you. But then you change courses and really jumped into probably one of the most intensive coaching platforms there was. Mm-hmm. What was your deciding factor on that?
Really watching what it had done for you and your business, mm-hmm. Because I think kind of when we started hanging out closer and doing more business together, and remember for a while there, we were meeting a lot more frequently.
Absolutely. Every week. Yeah.
By the way, but just seeing the transformation of yourself, your team, uh-huh. I think that definitely intrigued me into the coaching.
Sure.
And that was one at that time. So I did like a year or two of KW, and then I got into, when I started focusing on my database and working by referral, I did Buffini coaching, mm-hmm. and that was for about 3 or 4 years. And that was great. That taught me a lot.
Yep.
And then when we had been working together more, I got into level 1 of the core coaching.
Yeah.
But even then, one of my issues was I always kind of had one foot in a couple different things.
Yep.
I'd be doing KW stuff or Buffini, and even when I got in the core that first year, I didn't break off Buffini. I was like, well, they're every other week, so, and it's level 1.
Yep.
But finally after, I think it was after 20, I don't remember if it was 21 or I think it was at the end of 20 is when I decided to go fully and went into level 2 of the core at that time.
Absolutely. So what changed with that? Like, what do you feel when you did that? Well, I want to go back for a second. So the one reason, Vinny, I really wanted you to be a guest on our podcast here is you've been in real estate for a long time and you've done coaching. You've really changed your business, but you've also recently made a big life change. And I have been helping and mentoring you for years. And then you make this huge life change. And I have just been watching and I have been in awe of what really you've committed yourself to and what that change has done, especially over this last year and a half for you. So I really want to dive into that. So I want to get back to that story.
Okay.
But you get into this coaching in 2020 and you decided, okay, I have all these different ideas, my feet are in all these different places, and you decided to get rid of all of that and just do one and focus on one.
Mm-hmm.
And how long you've been in that? For a couple years, right?
Yeah, a little bit over 2 years now.
What do you feel like? What do you feel coaching has done for you?
For me, it's peeled back the layers big time, because the challenge that I know I had, and probably a lot of people had, when 2020 came around, obviously we know COVID
Yep.
came around and nobody knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
And for some people, unfortunately, it was a very tough time, and for many industries, they thrived.
Yep.
And while that was great, I realized it also masked a lot of things that we were not doing well.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Flaws in your business.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I think the
wheels were coming off everywhere.
Well, they weren't until a lot of the changes happened.
Yep.
Then it was very much exposed.
Yep.
It seemed like we were doing great.
Sure.
Come 22,
Yep.
rates go up, things are tougher, things are harder.
Yep.
And I realized, okay, my operation, my business isn't. There's nothing special about it. And at that time there was 5 of us on my team.
Yep.
Great people.
Sure.
Had some great salespeople, great
Absolutely.
people. I'm still friends with them, but they weren't on the right seat of the bus. I didn't have great systems, processes, nothing that was going to be sticky and valuable for not only for an employee or team member to stay, but what makes us special to clients.
Sure.
Besides being fun to work with and
right.
Knowing your stuff.
Yep.
So it for me it's peeled back the layers to strip it down, start fresh, and really get intentional on what I need in my business, what I need, what I want it to look like. I kind of always, in my mind, I realized I was always trying to skip a step. I was hoping I would find the right person who would just figure it all out for me. Okay. And where I've learned is you can have the right person, but I still have to let them know what I need, what I want, and be clear about it.
Yep.
And that's and I think that's where I'm most excited about now, is because I do, again, my team's smaller at the moment, but growing.
Absolutely.
Jillian, you're amazing. Yep. Thank you for everything you do.
She is.
She's out at training right now,
for coaching,
helping with our team. But yeah, she's really helped.
She's been a really good piece. And you just said that too, finding the right seat on the bus, or finding the employee that is the right seat for what you need. And I think that so many of us have gotten that wrong over the years, and multiple times, of hiring somebody out of, we like them or we think that they can do this, versus just what we're hiring for that exact purpose. But it is magical when you get the right person in the right seat, right? Like it's crazy how it changes, just everything once you do that, once you get that. And then once you guys start growing together, and watching you two grow has been incredible, because she fills all of your holes, right? Like where you are not, she is, and where she is not, you are. And so that's where that right seat is so important. She's great. So what I want to move into though is, so you've been coaching for a couple years. I have seen so much changes with you and your business, and you have implemented things very quickly. And you might not think so, but like from being in that coaching platform for so long, watching you jump in, watching you implement, watching you change things, you have definitely been a fast implementer. But in the last year, who challenged you to do the 75 hard?
Well, that was let's see, that's coming up on a year, last November, when I was at a summit event.
Yep.
They were one of the presenters, I forgot which one, it was a lender, and part of his presentation was 75 hard.
Yep.
And it was just how he had done it a few years. He was challenged to do it, and he was like, hey, I can do something hard, and he did it. And and just without really realizing it, all of the personal and personal improvements, business improvements, family improvements, all those things that he had. And it's something that had been in my mind. I'd seen other friends who'd done it before, but I was just never, I was like, I'm not going to work out 2 days a week. Yeah. I'm not going to not drink for 75 days. I'm not going to do this. I'm not,
right.
And now at the same time, I was sitting there, I haven't told a lot of people this, but I was sitting there feeling like a fraud at that event, because I'm like, okay, I'm getting my butt kicked right now. Things are hard. Yep. The last couple of months were hard. Yeah. I've only got a month or two left before I'm selling rental properties or stuff to,
Right. Make
figure
it.
stuff out
Mm-hmm.
because while I've done well, I wasn't before the last couple of years. I didn't know all my expenses.
Right.
I didn't know how much money I was or should be
Budgeting, profit
spending
and
or saving or
loss,
none of that stuff. It was all
tracking
just go
everything.
make more,
Mm-hmm.
and when it gets harder, then it was a challenge. And as I was sitting there, a good buddy of mine, my neighbor, we had been the previous year, we'd been starting to work out and I'd been starting to run with him a bit. And I messaged him, I was like, hey, what's your thought? Have you ever seen this challenge? And this was just right there at the event during the
Right.
presentation.
Wyatt, what's
I'm
going
like,
on?
and then he responds, he's like, I don't know if you can cuss on here.
You
He
can
was like,
cuss on here.
fuck it, I'm in. And I'm like, really? You read all of that?
Yeah.
And and it was just one of those things. A week later, we started it, and it was really, for me, it was started and done out of, I'd almost say desperation, because shit was tough.
Yeah.
It was like I'm either going to keep doing the same thing, keep worrying about it, or make some serious changes. And it was, I will say, it's the accountability piece, not only in coaching but in friendship.
Yes.
It makes
Huge.
all the difference.
I remember when you came in my office and you told me you were doing that, and I'm like, Vinny, do you know how hard that is? And he's like, yes. And you started telling me everything you have to do, and I'm like, and you want to do this? And not that I didn't think you could by any means, but it was a big change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a huge change. And you started doing it and started posting all the time, and it went by super fast. Like I felt like it was over pretty dang quickly, although it probably didn't feel that way to you.
Sometimes not. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
sure, yeah. Some days. But we start going through this, and you are like developing this following of people who are like, okay, wow, if he can do that, I can do it. You then start finding this massive love for running, which I would have loved to, rewind back a year or two ago and said, Vinny, in 1 year, you're going to be like running all the time. You would have laughed me out of that office if we would have ever talked about that. And so, like, tell me what, not just a challenge physically, because I mean, you're in such better shape now. I mean, you look incredible, but what accepting to do that and having your friend join you and do that with you, like, what deeper impact did that have on your life?
Man, it gave me something cool to be passionate about, I'd say, which is really neat. One thing that I always kind of struggled with is when people, even if you take a little, I guess, quiz or something, it says, what are your hobbies? I'm like, well, I like to grill, like to hang out, like to, it's like, so I always kind of struggle with like, what is my hobby? I wasn't going fishing. I wasn't going doing this. And it was, so it was kind of neat because earlier, that even before 75 hard, because the year before, it's funny, all these summits, all these conferences, I make a change because the year before is when I made the change to hire a trainer and just like, okay, I got to do something. I'm getting older, my knees hurt, my kids are young, I need to keep up. And I hired a trainer and I started working out, and I did that. And I didn't change other habits, but I did start working out consistently. And that summer, me and my neighbor on a Sunday were hanging out, having a couple beers, kids were playing out front. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get ready to run in the morning. And then I'm like, fucking, I'll run with you. Is what I said. I'll get up at 5 and 4 and run at 5. And it was horrible. Yeah, I got up. I couldn't run far. I couldn't run far at all. But it's something, he did it every day. And I'm like, well, shit, this guy can do it. I can get out there and just do it. There's no reason not to. It was just something to challenge myself. So we had already kind of had that going before the 75 hard. Like we had already planned to do a race. The first race we did was November 19th last year, the Gobbler race or something like that. And then all this happened like 2 weeks before with the 75 hard. So that was, it was just kind of, And then it's like,
so that's been over for a while, but you're still running now. Now you're signing up to do marathons.
Well, I'm going to do my first one in October. So and it's funny too, because it makes the marathon. He's signed up for a 100-miler.
Okay.
in October.
Oh my gosh.
So it makes the marathon seem pretty easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely focused on ultra marathons.
Yeah.
But even back then, we had a goal. We set a goal to get a medal every month this year.
That's incredible.
So I actually even hung it up today.
I
And
saw it
posted
today.
So yeah,
All
we've
your medals.
so far we've done some sort of scheduled, and that's not even including all the just the other daily runnings that we're doing. But
now your
yeah.
vacations with your family are based
Yeah,
around this.
yeah. Well,
right? Like,
I wouldn't say based around it, but I
no,
find
but
things
you
there.
find things to do, right? Like
Yeah,
while you're out with your family.
yeah.
Sean and I have a big passion for rodeos, and so we go. We'll find a rodeo, and then we'll do all this other things, around it to do. But I love that you have found something. A lot of people sometimes have midlife crisis, and it doesn't go good. It goes,
Yeah.
it goes the other way, and you found something, like you said, to be crazy passionate about. Now, what do you think that's done for your career, your real estate side?
Well, and I think that's the coolest part about it is because especially getting up early and doing hard things like that,
Yep.
it makes it, I appreciate how you said that I'm a fast implementer. I wasn't. I would say in the last year,
Yeah.
maybe 18 months, I've become
better
at it and much better than I was before, but I was not at all before.
Okay.
We had ideas, we talked about them, but we
Sure.
didn't,
Get them going.
they didn't get implemented. So for me, not only the running, but the getting up early, the doing, I mean, heck, I still take freaking cold showers now.
Yeah.
That's insane. It was,
Sure.
stuff like that. It's just these hard things that, because while I do it and I got better at them, they're still hard,
Right.
and it's, but it makes, when you get into the office and you get into work, it makes it, I guess that whole mental toughness part. It's,
Absolutely.
when we're up against hard things, when we're not feeling the motivation, when we're not just
through.
feeling it helps keep moving that forward and getting the job done.
Absolutely.
So.
I just think it's so important too, as we age, that we push ourselves, right, to still do hard things and to still find new things that we are capable of. So I just absolutely love that. Okay, so I'm gonna rapid fire a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay, you ready? So who would you say that you compare yourself to, and how do they operate differently than you, business-wise?
Business-wise, right now I'd say my coaches. The program I'm in, we change coaches every 6 months. They're all very high level, dialed in with business, family, systems, operations. That's what I compare myself to. And what they do differently is, I would say, first of all, they still honor their schedule better than I do. I'm still working on that.
Okay.
They've got... They are steps ahead of me with their leverage and their team, and I think that's one of the biggest parts about it. You can have all the ideas and the greatest work ethic, but you've got to have the right help.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I've got a great. Not only do I have a great person in Jillian on my team, but I know what I need now.
Absolutely.
Before I didn't know. I didn't take the time to really know what I want and what I need.
Absolutely.
So I think those are the key. They're just steps ahead of me right now. I think I'm on the right path, but they're definitely ahead of me, and that's who I look up to.
Well, I love how you answer that question, because so many people think that comparison is a negative thought, right? And it can be. And it definitely can, especially when you're comparing yourself to other people. But the way you just answered that, it's so powerful, because you're not looking at it negatively. You're looking at it as, how can I become better? You are looking at people to compare yourself that are better than you, or not really better, but farther along, right? Or have worked harder in certain areas that you want to get better at and grow in. So I love that. It's so good. What would you do differently if you had no fear?
Oh, I would have made changes quicker. I would even right now, I would make the scary call. I guess you can call it a scary call to me. I don't know about you, but one of the things we focus on is calling prospecting whales and prospecting, doing stuff like this. People that might feel out of your comfort zone, or do you deserve to work with this person?
Or people who intimidate you.
Yeah, intimidate you. And so I would, and that's something that I'm definitely getting as I'm getting a lot more involved in the community and different groups, and just stepping out more. If I had no fear, I would have done it much sooner, and I would do it more often.
Well, it's so good too. But I think we could tie that even back into when you just said that you do all those hard things up front, right? Like that is literally working a muscle in your mind
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't get worked very often by some people, that says you just can't do it or you shouldn't do it. And you're working that all the time. So now things just don't seem as scary. And when we approach some of those scary things and we finish them or get through them and they weren't so bad,
Mm-hmm.
it encourages us to do it more. But there's also that adrenaline piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when things scare you and then you get it done, like that's a surge of adrenaline. So when you say that, you want to do it again, or you wish you would do it, had done it earlier or more often.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a fun, like, to see and watch you do all of that and just look for more things and how to accomplish. It's super awesome. It's super rewarding. um you've said to me a couple times about mentoring you, but like I love watching that with you, and it inspires me and it makes me want to figure out, okay, what's next for me, where is that next place, and what's gonna get me going and get me excited again. So you're inspiring many. You already know that because of so many people who always comment and who follow you on this journey. But I just hope that you keep it up. Thank you, thank you
Mm-hmm.
for coming on
Oh, thank you
here
for that.
and
It's been
and
it's been awesome.
and
Yeah.
sharing and bearing a little bit of your soul here with us on the secret sauce. We just want to reach out and just say, guys, hey, if you are enjoying this, if you would please just share this. We are all over the place. But if you would have somebody that could benefit, please share this. And just thank you guys for stopping by, and thanks, Vinny, for being on this with us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.